1 million+ spectators crowding the British forest, though, are seeing the end of a brief but significant chapter in the sport. Because after 2 tragic incidents during the course of the season, FISA, the sport's governing body, are banning the Group B cars, the cars which generate over 400 horsepower and have performance comparable to Formula 1 cars. From the end of the year, the sport is returning to Group A in the World Championship, effectively the production car category. It's a radical move designed to improve safety for crews and for spectators, but it's a move that's costing the major manufacturers tens of millions of pounds. And among the hardest hit are Austin Rover.
The MG Metro 6R4 made its international debut on last year's RAC Rally, a car to challenge the Audi, Peugeot and Lancia domination. And amid great patriotic fervour, Tony Pond and Rob Arthur battled their way to 3rd place behind the Lancia of Henry Toivonen. But in the spring, the World Championship came to Portugal, where in the opening stages, the Group B cars faced the notorious crowds around Sintra, whose behaviour was verging on the lunatic. It only needed 1 car to go off in these circumstances, and the sport would have a major tragedy. And within minutes of the start, it happened. The Ford of Joaquim Santos left the road, and 4 spectators were killed, many others injured. The top drivers, with Pond among them, walked out of the event.
I've got my own conscience. I'm not prepared to drive between people at 120 miles an hour. Just no way.
Amazingly, FISA criticised the drivers for their action. But then in Corsica, the RAC winner Henry Toivonen left the road in his Lancia, and both Toivonen and his co-driver were killed. FISA reacted instantly with their Group B ban, and this is the legacy for Austin Rover. A car park of 6R4s, once priced at £35,000, now for sale at £13,000 each. The supercars had become dinosaurs facing extinction. The company, mindful of the safety problem, regretted the lack of consultation that wrecked a massive investment.
With proper cooperation with the manufacturers, we could have talked about immediate reductions in power levels, immediate reduction in tyre widths and things like that, all of which would have contributed certainly a lot to the crew safety. And I think that working with us, they could also have done something quite significant for spectator safety.
Have you any idea what the new regulations have cost Austin Rover? Are we talking in £1 million investment, multi-million pound?
You're talking more than £1 million, yes. I mean, I think the exact cost will eventually show when we've finally got rid of the 200 cars, which we're making quite big efforts to do at the moment.
A brass plate marks this as the very last 6R4 with which Pond and Arthur will contest the RAC. The 6R4 will now be eligible only for national rallies and rallycross. International rallying has been left in turmoil.
Well, I think it's going to be the watershed for rallying when they have to get their act together somehow. I mean, we're very lucky in this country with the RAC Rally that spectator control has been a priority for a number of years. But when you've got vast numbers of spectators, it becomes fairly difficult. One stage in San Remo, I think you actually have it on film, where we were actually arriving towards the crowd at about 110, 120 miles an hour, fairly quickly, going from a gravel road to a tarmac road and back to a gravel road on a hairpin, completely surrounded by people, and it just takes your concentration, really. I mean, you try to forget them and make out they're part of the scenery, but they move around. It's fairly unpleasant if you realise if you're going to go off or anything goes wrong, you're going to take some people with you, and I don't think we should be put in that position. I think the right way was to reduce the performance of the cars and get them out of the dangerous curve, if you like, the sort of above 70 mile an hour when they start to life gets busy. I think that's the right way to go, but they seem to have put the emphasis on the organisers to control the spectators. I think there should be another body of independent people that go around each stage and say, sorry boys, that stage is not under control, that's not acceptable, and it's not running.
Which does happen on the RAC, happened last year.
Happen, yes, on the RAC, yes, the spectator control cars will go around, and if the crowd are in bad positions and there's no possibility of moving them within a certain time, they won't run the stage, and that's the right way to do it.
And that's chiefly because the drivers don't always get it right. Mark Lovell, the British Open champion, proves that in his Ford RS200. A clear demonstration of why crowds mustn't gather on the outside of a bend. As regards driver safety, Pond's teammate David Llewellyn has reason to be grateful for the steel body shell of the 6R4. This frightening roll over a 100-foot drop in the Welsh International ended in nothing more than a sprained wrist for Phil Short and embarrassment for his driver.
Happily that both Phil and I are okay, and the roll cage in the car, saved us very well.
Stood up pretty well. Actually landed on its roof, did it?
Yes, the boys have actually just tipped it over to see whether they can drag it out for me to take it home.
Yeah.
In a box.
But it's the high-speed Group B accidents that the sport seek to ban. Llewellyn again on the Ulster Rally. The discipline of British crowds avoided any injury here, but the mere fact a rally car could go out of control on a straight road at 120 miles an hour makes all the drivers think very hard about the sport.
You love rallying, and you've given a lot of entertainment over the years. Has this year, though, really knocked it out of you a little bit?
I think so, yeah. I think the actual, having seen it coming, I mean, I don't think I'm particularly brilliant or got much foresight, but I could see all the problems rallying was facing, and they weren't doing anything about it. And then to be involved in the dinosaur, in the machine, that was just people going off the road and people getting injured, and it just left me thinking, well, why didn't they do something 5 years ago when they could have done? So in the end, you lose the enthusiasm for it.
Are you seeing it as the grand finale, or do you think in a couple of seasons we may see the 6R4 in Group B rallying again?
Well, I don't think you'll see the 6R4, but I think you may see some other Austin Rover product. And I think that if FISA managed to come up with a set of rules that does enable people to make investments on a sensible basis and get back into the sport, then this won't be the last good RAC, but it may be the last good RAC for a couple of years.
Well, difficult times for the sport, but Tony Pond desperate to finish with a good result. The prospects for him and the other challengers in Top Gear's Rally Report on Saturday evening, 9:40, BBC 2, daily reports from Top Gear after that, including live coverage of some of the stages, and we'll be summarising the event and talking to the winner on Sportsnight next week.